into.
Do
Hill Kings Podcast.
Woof.
What's up, man?
Oh, bonjour.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to you, and welcome
Mm.
to all
And welcome to you, and welcome to nephew.
I like that. To another
Mhm.
episode, another thrilling edition, a lot would say. Do
Mhm.
you think a lot would say that?
A few will say, actually, in the last week,
Yeah.
I have gotten two attaboys from people on the pod, which felt very,
Ah.
very nice. So,
People that
Zach,
you knew personally, or
yes, people I knew personally.
ah,
Zach, shout out for listening.
shout
Fletcher,
out Fletcher,
Zach and Fletcher.
the
Mhm.
Fletcher I know.
No, not that
Oh,
Fletcher. Not, not, not Surge.
shout out Serge, dude.
Shout out Surge, dude. Those.
Well, shout out to those guys.
Mhm. Shout out to
Uh,
all the nephews for
yeah, it
supporting
seems
us.
we have a few out there, and we love you, and we appreciate you, our little manger baby nephew
Our main,
babies.
our manger nephews,
Cheers to y'all.
baby
We're
managers.
here to talk about baby manager.
I think that's maybe what we called them at one point in time last episode.
Sure,
I
yeah.
think God has a
Manager
plan
babies.
for me, and it involves puppets.
Exactly.
Still buzzing from that last episode, but we're trucking right along to talk about episode. What episode is this?
13.
213
Mhm.
already?
Yes.
Shoosh.
Season
That's
2, episode 13. Snow job.
This
Mhm.
one was funny. I liked it.
There's no job like a snow job. You feel
That's
me?
really good, dude. That is
Ooh.
really good. We have
Thank you.
to move on, though.
Yeah, this one was a really good one. It felt like it had nice drama all the way through. We'll get into it, but it's a good one. It's pretty fun.
It rings true also to how people in Texas, and I think we can lump
Yeah.
Oklahoma into that,
Mhm.
react to a little bit of snow. And I would say the same about my home of Portland, Oregon. There's a
Uh-huh.
tiny bit of snow on the ground. People don't know how to handle their shit.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into all of that fun stuff, but this one dropped on February 1st of
2-1.
1998. Mm-hmm.
We're deep into 98 now, brother.
Deep into 98. You want to take a trip into the Wayback Machine?
I think we ought to do it. I think we ought
Mhm.
to cover this
We order
week in Arlen.
Arlen.
This, of course, you all know by now, our dedicated nephews is the segment of the show where we look at what was happening in the world on the time that this episode aired. Chris just mentioned this one aired on February 1st, 1998. We also had a week in between episodes, I believe, at least one, because of something that happened
Mhm.
the prior week that we will
Yep.
cover shortly. But we know we always like to talk about the TV guide.
Yes. TV Tango, we got a new Channel 5 here featured on our board here.
Yeah.
Just Truckers is on.
Don't know what that is, and the name of the episode is also Truckers.
It's pretty self-explanatory, Brad. It's about truckers.
Yeah.
Show
Show about truckers. We got a repeat on The Simpsons, so we can skip that one. That is the episode that aired during the whatever episode we had the Oops All
is that the
Segments
one
guys on.
about the arranged marriage and Apu pretends to be
Yes.
married to Marge? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Good. Well done, my friend. Good memory.
Nice. The Taking of Pelham 123.
I don't know
I
what that
pay
is.
attention when you talk. I feel like I've seen Taking of Pelham 123 before. I think it's related to a train. That has
Let's
something to
find
do with
out.
trains. I am happy to see that World's Funniest is back on Fox. You know, I love a World's anything.
Oh, yeah, Taking of Pelham 123 was remade in
I was gonna say,
2009,
okay, that makes sense. That's what I'm
but
recalling.
this is this another remake of it? Because it says the original was in 1974.
But
Has
it
this
is about
movie been
train.
made three times? This movie has been made three separate times, dude.
Interesting. Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, and I'm
Yes.
surprised they
So
didn't
you
call the other remake
you have
1, 2,
Taking
3,
of Pelham
4.
1, you have Taking of Pelham 2, and then in
Yeah.
2009 you had Taking of Pelham 1, 2,
One,
3,
two,
number
three.
3,
Mm-hmm.
number 4, 3.
But it is about a train,
Pretty
right?
cool. It is, I believe, yeah, it looks pretty trainish. It's
Let's
like a
go.
New York style subway train, I
Yeah.
think.
Let's see what else we got. The Lake is on
Oh,
NBC
I've got a
Sunday
slide about it.
movie. Oh, we
Don't
do?
worry.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about it.
I'm gonna show you the trailer, bud. It's
Okay.
wild, and I want to watch it.
Um,
Um, Pro Bowl also, is that like the football all-star game?
yes.
Okay, and that happens
Mhm.
after the Super Bowl.
After, before, during, concurrently, I don't know.
We're not football guys
We're
on
not
this show.
footballers. All right, already. Again with the hockey player.
Let's talk about it. Move to the next slide, please, me in editing.
Oh, wow.
Again with this show, I realized because it said hockey player in the title, Chris, and you know that I'm a big hockey guy.
You big hockey guy.
I looked into the episode. It is very hard to find this episode anywhere. I couldn't find DVDs. I could
Interesting.
find like some clips from some episodes on
Mhm.
YouTube. I did find out in this episode that our gal, Cheryl
Cheryl Holiday?
Holiday from King of the Hill, worked
Hmm.
on this episode and worked
Yep.
on this show.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
She's in this episode? So does she like guest
She
star or is
wrote, I
she?
believe she wrote this episode of All Right
Oh
already.
my
The
God,
premise
Cheryl.
is Carol proves a good luck charm for Mario, her hockey player beau. She's mortified when he reveals to millions of TV viewers the intimate details of their sex life. Really
Oh,
interesting to name the hockey character Mario because this was like peak popularity of Mario Lemieux too,
yeah.
which
Interesting.
is great,
Let's talk about our gal Cheryl just absolutely dominating the
right?
90s.
Self-proclaimed alcoholic Cheryl Holiday.
And that picture is from her official IMDb page. We're not
Yes.
trying to make her look bad. She put that up there.
And
I'm
I am a
wondering,
Cheryl holic.
I'm wondering if we could get Cheryl on the show eventually. That'd be
Cheryl, if you're
fun.
listening,
If you're listening,
if you're alive still,
we'll buy you a drink,
we will buy you multiple drinks.
several drinks. Yeah, shout out to Cheryl.
Shout out to
Um,
Cheryl.
I
Shout
feel
out to
like
All Right Already.
I feel like we talk about All Right already a lot. Did you enjoy the
Yeah.
clips that you watched?
No,
No? Okay.
no, it didn't seem very good. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. Maybe I'll find it on DVD. But I did realize that it might be kind of interesting to look elsewhere TV guide wise, aside from
Mhm.
just Sunday. So
Yeah.
I've started scanning the week prior because I'm like,
Interesting.
I know that at this time, like Friends is airing,
Yeah.
Home Improvement is winning Emmys. There's a classic Seinfeld episode that aired this week,
Okay.
season 9 of Seinfeld at this time. So
Ah,
deep
wow.
in their run, this is
Mhm.
the episode with the New Yorker cartoon that like Jerry doesn't understand.
Ah,
Does that ring a bell to you? This is the actual cartoon. I don't get it just from watching this. It's a pig at a
hmm.
complaints department, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of caption.
No, I don't get it.
Yeah, Elaine struggles to see the humor in a cartoon that appears in the New Yorker, and George is disconcerted when Elaine and Kramer point out that the woman he is dating looks a lot like Jerry.
Interesting.
Yeah. Shout out to Seinfeld. Shout out to Seinfeld fans.
Uh-huh. Something about Pop-Tarts or breakfast cereal. I don't know.
No, not shout out to Seinfeld himself. He seems like a
Oh,
really bad guy.
with the whole
I've
dating a high schooler thing.
Yeah, I've mentioned that on the show.
Mhm.
This movie Deep Rising came out.
Full scream ahead.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. It's like a kind of shitty 90s action movie-esque with some sort of deep sea creature
Uh-huh.
going on. And there is a
Uh,
jet ski on the
yeah, I was gonna say there's a jet ski.
on
Um,
the poster here.
I like the two guys in this screenshot. They have guns, and the lady has a shoe.
Yeah, because women be shopping. And she
Wo-
probably picked up
and
that shoe at
shooting.
Macy's and shooting. Yeah.
Women be
Um,
shooting.
moving on though, still in movie news.
Mm,
There was a reimagining of Great Expectations, the
mm.
Charles Dickens
Yes.
classic, featuring Gwyneth Paltrow,
Wow.
Robert De Niro, Ethan
Ethan
Hawke.
Hawke.
I watched the trailer. It looks bananas.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely dumb.
Hmm.
It's the trailer is like mostly a sex scene between Ethan Hawke and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Cool.
Looks like James Franco is in it as well,
Can we
but
play that?
also we can play it. Yeah, let me
Oh
pull
no,
it
no,
up.
I'm just kidding. We don't have to.
No, I was
I'll
gonna show you a different
I'll watch
trailer
that on
though.
my own time.
Yeah, you watched that on your own, you naughty boy.
I'm a pouch bro. They know that.
Yeah, no, I don't like her.
Yeah,
She's
no, me neither.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know me either.
She's a little goopy for me.
I'm a Oh, also in this movie, this came out. This did not surpass Titanic in the box office. Titanic was still number one,
Surprise.
but in this movie, in the trailer, Ethan Hawke paints her like one of his French girls. There's a whole scene where it's like, I want you to draw me. Crazy, right? What are the odds of
Interesting.
that?
I don't know. I feel like the late 90s was a lot of it was rip.
A lot
A
of
lot of
it
it was
was
rip off.
drawing of naked ladies. You're right.
Mhm.
Yeah. But moving on, movie wise, Yasmin Bleeth, this actually aired on TV. This was a made for TV film. Stars in the film The Lake. And let me
Another
just show you,
another great tagline here. In one small
right?
town, still waters don't run deep. They run deadly.
Let me go ahead and share my screen here, brother.
Okay.
All right, let me just show you a little excerpt
Give me a
from this
taste.
movie.
Stop! Please stop!
Oh,
He ran out in front of me. I couldn't stop.
We saw everything.
What are you doing? Please don't do that.
We got everything under control.
In ways
Oh my God.
she can't explain.
Hi. How you doing? Are you okay?
And then he's
I
alive.
hate you.
Oh, that was you. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you.
Credit history.
Intrigue.
what?
Intrigue.
A little bit. A little bit.
He ran him over and the cops
The
dragged
cops
him
were
off.
right
and-
there.
Yeah.
were
Maybe
like,
it was
"We
the
saw
cops that were
everything."
chasing him down. I'm intrigued. I want to watch it. It seems like there's some sort of creepy thing going on in a lake.
Mm-hmm. Well, beneath the surface lies the terror.
Exactly. So Yasmin Bleeth was doing good, starring in movies. That'll do it for movies this week. Moving
Mhm.
on to music news. We finally have a new number one song. Candle in
Candle in the
the
Wind.
Wind it's been extinguished.
It's been blown out.
Janet Jackson is queen today with
Mhm.
Together Again.
Nice. Look at that hairstyle. That is so cool.
Is it? Yeah,
I like
I guess
it.
it is. That's
It's
pretty
just-
sick. That's a pretty
yeah.
cool cover with the praying hands. That's
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
And also whenever Justin Timberlake pulled the famous nip slip, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes. God, what a moment. I can't wait until we get to that week.
Oh yeah, when was that?
That
That was like
I don't
mid
post
2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
early 2000s.
Well,
When
we'll
did
find
we
out.
see Janet Jackson's nipples?
Yeah, but speaking of the Super Bowl, the prior week, the Broncos defeated the Packers in the Super Bowl.
The
Figure
horses
that's worth
defeated the
mentioning.
cheese.
Exactly. The horses ate some cheese.
This is the Elway era still.
Yeah, I know that name.
Mm-hmm.
I know that name. I figure you kind of have to mention that the Super Bowl happened, right?
Mhm.
And we had the Super Bowl episode
Episode.
prior to this, Manger
Mhm.
Babies, so that makes sense that episode aired week before Super Bowl. They're
Mhm.
off the next week, and now we're back with a kind of Christmas adjacent but like winter episode.
Mhm. Yes.
Very seasonal, the show at this time.
Yeah, they had good timing with the year.
Yeah. Keeping her in sports news though, the Lakers and the Bulls played each other.
Mm.
Now this was very early
Damn.
Kobe and then end of the three-peat year for Michael Jordan. The Lakers
Yeah.
absolutely stomped the Bulls. I don't think the Bulls lost very many games this season. But Kobe had like 26. Let's see.
Damn.
I'm swapping around here.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, we're on the wrong side here.
Kobe had 20.
Wow.
Shaq had 24, 9 and
Sheesh.
3. Eddie Jones with 20. Rick Fox dropped 25. Look at that.
Dang, look, Corey Blountz, look at his boards, dude.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So the Lakers showing promise, but the Bulls still reigning supreme.
Fish
Quick
getting
note
some boards
from
too.
D Fish,
Fisher's got the most
brother.
minutes there.
Yeah, he was a young buck then too.
Mhm. Still had hair.
Very quick, just to touch on hockey, the Canadiens beat the Hurricanes 6-3, and Yevgeny Malakov got a
6-3.
hat trick. 6-3. 28, 19, and 7 for les habitants. Moving on to books. We had the final book in a trilogy from Toni Morrison. The Paradise was the #1 New York Times bestseller.
Oh yeah.
This apparently was a third in a series, and the Oprah Book of the Month pick for this month. There was a movie adaptation of the first book in this series. I believe it was called Beloved, and Oprah Winfrey starred in that movie adaptation.
It's a little self-serving, Oprah. Make
Well, I
that
believe
book.
the movie may have been made after this book even came out. Maybe I'm
Oh, okay.
wrong, but maybe Oprah was just like, I like this author because I was in the movie adaptation of her shit, you know?
Interesting. I don't think I've really read any Toni Morrison.
I think I've read one of the books, maybe the first one. Maybe I've read Beloved, but yeah, it's not really like my style of book, I guess.
Interesting. I feel like this is the first one of the first book features we've had on This Week in Arlen.
We've talked about the Princess Diana book that came out. We also talked about Cold Mountain. You ain't never gonna take Cold Mountain. Beat you to
Exactly.
it,
There you go. I was drinking.
Yep. And I won. Moving on, birthday news. It was this little bad boy's little 4th birthday.
Oh my
You know
god.
who that is? That's Harold. Harold Style.
Harold and Kumar. Oh.
It's Harold Style, the bad boy.
Harold Style.
Yes, all the ladies love him, and he was a nice little 4-year-old boy on this
At
day,
this time.
on the 1st of Feb.
Honestly, I like it. His music's pretty decent for pop music. I like it. It's
Fun,
fine.
like popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
pop music.
Yeah.
Good times.
It's not bad pop.
Oh, watermelon sugar.
Hi.
Moving on, though, the most important news of the week, and finally rounding it out, Gex Enter the Gecko was released, I believe, a couple days beforehand here on, I think it may have been PlayStation first. That's how I remember playing it.
Yes.
I had like a demo disc. Do you remember those things?
I had the demo disc of Gex. I never played the full one.
I played the full one. There was like a later version of it that was released on the Game Boy. I remember playing a Gex game on the Game Boy like all the time. Game Boy Color.
Nice.
But I don't think I ever played this game in full. I do have an N64 now. I never had one growing up. So maybe I try to find this game and play
those demo discs, man. Those were so cool.
Yeah,
Back
you just
in the
get
day,
like a level from Crash Bandicoot and
a level from Spyro.
Dude, Spyro. We talked about Spyro not that long
We've
ago.
talked about Spyro, yeah.
On this here segment, but yeah, love a demo disc, love Gex, love This Week in Arlen. But you know we got shit to do, brother.
We do.
We've got to talk about this episode. Quick note for y'all before we get into the meat and the bones. Your boy got a copy of the season 2 digital variable disc.
Is that what DVD stands for?
I think it is. Yeah, it or variety or something. What does DVD stand for? Because it's not. I thought it was video, but it's not. Versatile. Digital versatile discography. And I have access to some deleted scenes now. So if you hear this,
Deleted!
then that means we're going to talk about a little deleted scene. Otherwise, we'll proceed as normal. Let's get into her, brother.
Yes, dude. Let's get into it. Start the mower up. Season 2, episode 13, Snow Job. We said it aired on 2/1/98. Already, your blurb is, Hank calls into question his loyalty to propane and the direction of his life after he finds out Buck Strickland owns an electric range.
Such an excellent premise
And
for an episode.
the blurb doesn't really give away a whole lot that goes on because there's a lot more
Yeah.
going on in this episode. But this one is very interesting. It has 7 credited writers
Oh shit.
on
Team
it. Yeah,
effort. You love
team
to see
effort.
it.
So it's the standard 4 that we're used to: Judge, Daniels, Hardwick, and Dotrieve. But then also writing on this episode is Cheryl Holiday.
Oh, our gal.
Our gal Cheryl Holiday. She, I think, is credited writing 3 episodes of King of the Hill, and I believe this is her last of the 3.
Big night for her on television.
She's also going to voice act one character in this that we'll talk about later. But your other 2 writers are on this are Alan R. Cohen and Alan Friedland. We have talked about these 2 before. They are kind of a writing duo. Most of their career, they're a pair, or a writing team. Together, they co-produced 61 episodes of King of the Hill, and they also wrote 15, or they're credited as writing 15. They wrote Shins of the Father. They also wrote The Lost Episode. They also wrote Jumpin' Crack Bass from this season, which we liked a lot.
It's a gas, yeah.
And they also write later on in the season, they write Final Shinsolt, which is another
another cotton episode coming
later
up.
on.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Alan Cohen and Alan Friedland, they're also both involved in American Dad. They co-produce, or they're co-EPs on 44 episodes of American Dad.
Nice.
Let's see what else. They're still working that new horror movie that's coming out, The Strangers Part 1.
It's like a prequel or a sequel to the Strangers movie, the one with Liv Tyler, or what?
I think so. Maybe I haven't actually watched the trailers or anything, but they co-wrote that. And they are also working on a cartoon called The Freak Brothers, which is a take-up of a cartoon strip from like the 60s. So it's a cartoon adaptation. So the Allens are still writing and working today. And then, yeah, Cheryl Holiday. Cheryl Holiday also is a co-EP for 37 episodes of King of the Hill. So she wrote 3, but she EPs 37, which is pretty cool.
Multiple that were nominated for Emmys. We know
the two of them for sure, I believe. Yeah. So directors on this, I forgot
Quick
to
note
write
on
down.
The Strangers Part 1. I did look it up. It is associated with the Liv Tyler movie, but it is not a remake or a reboot. It's kind of like the same premise, but with different characters and in a different setting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Directing on this, of course, is going to be Wes Archer. And then also directing on this is going to be Adam Kuhlman, who we've talked about before. He's involved in the Simpsons movie. He was also involved in Fern Gully. I know you like Fern Gully.
I love Fern Gully. Who doesn't?
So that's your production team for this episode. But we're going to get into it. It's a hot open. It's a hot open, but it's cold in Arlen. We open with a shot of a bank thermostat, a bank sign thermostat with the temperature going down. It's 40 degrees, it ticks down to 39. But we see a torchbearer running and handing off a torch, foreshadowing for later.
It's not the Olympics.
It's not the Olympics. It's not the
Strickland
Olympics
Winter Picnic,
which
is actually a great idea. For a propane company.
It's summer in January. The torch makes its way to Buck Strickland. This is going to be a very Buck heavy episode, which I'm very excited about. Buck's wearing an apron that looks to have a younger version of himself on it.
Yep. And
which is pretty funny.
Shirt, which is nice.
But they've got
quick note here. Little deleted scene action. We have a schematic from the torch lighting that is quite a bit longer, and we do get a little scene of Bobby and Hank walking with the torch together, Bobby asking Hank if he can carry it. And Hank says, sure, you can carry it after you work for Buck Strickland for 15 years.
That's funny. A note for the nephews. I'm unaware of the bonus content as well. So this is all going to be news to me.
Yes, we'll surprise him periodically.
So yeah, the torch comes in. Buck starts giving a speech. He's got the family and friends of the 5 Strickland branches, which I think this is the first mention that there's multiple Strickland branches.
I believe it is. Yeah, this is the first time we get any like Hank co-worker action, I believe.
Yeah,
other
I was
than
gonna say.
Enrique in the
Yeah.
smoking episode.
Buck says that senior assistant manager Hank will light the grill. They're gathered to celebrate propane, God's gas, he calls it, which I always thought was a strain of weed, but
Hey, let's go, dude. Let's talk about it.
The grills get lit, the heaters get lit, and the barbecue is on. We get a real fun a kind of mini villain for the episode. This is Vickers is going to be
the suck up little bitch.
Vickers the suck up is going to be played by David Herman, and you pretty much know anytime you see Cheryl Holiday in this episode or in episodes, we're going to see David Herman as well. So yeah, David Herman plays Vickers, and Vickers is like, "Well, Mr. Strickland, you sure know when to flip those burgers, or you know the right time." And he says, it's it could be the right time to listen to my proposal for our total quality management."
And Hank comes in and just fully cucks this guy right in front
Hank
of
comes in and
Strickland.
roasts him. Says, "Hey Vickers, who do you like for the Super Bowl this year? The Doopy Loopies or the Shimmy Shammies?"
And then he says he likes the Bills,
which gets an even bigger laugh.
Yeah.
From Strickland.
We hate the Bills.
We hate the Bills. Brad and I, big football guys,
Yep.
and we definitely hate the Bills. This total quality management thing gave me a nice good chuckle. I got a business degree when I went to college, and
Same.
total quality. Did you have to learn about TQM, Brad?
I don't recall learning about TQM, but I don't recall most of what I learned. So
they talked about it in at the school that I went to. So some of this was very funny, but
that fancy business degree you got there.
Yeah. The barbecue's going well until we start to see some little specks of white falling from the sky. Bobby says, "Look, Mom, ash. There must be a volcano somewhere," which is very funny.
That's really good. Also,
Panic-
that his first thought is there's a volcano and not it's snowing.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the joke, because panic immediately sets in, and Peggy is like, "I've seen this before when I lived in Montana," which I think is the first reference we get with Peggy being from Montana.
Yeah, I think it is.
And the Montana stuff is part of the Peggy retcon.
Retconning. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So Peggy is from Montana. We get that in this episode. But yeah, panic immediately ensues. Strickland is like, "Everybody choke down your burgers. We got an emergency here." Everyone scrambles to their cars and immediately starts driving like shit.
It's total chaos already, and this is the most realistic scene that we have gotten in any episode of King of the Hill yet. Yeah. But before we move on, we got a couple other little deleted things from the whole picnic. We do get a little cut that was just a schematic of Hank unable to light the propane thing. He's like struggling with it. We get a short little clip of Peggy and Luann bragging to other women about like their propane usage, and then Luann talking about, she brings up that she like knows someone who has an electric car, and the women that they're talking to get offended and leave, and Peggy's like super embarrassed. And then we also have a short little clip of them doing a sack race, and it's Luann doing a sack race with someone else, and Strickland being really creepy, and Hank being like, "That's my niece." So
dang, that would fit in later.
That's what
Strickland
she said.
being creepy. Whoa. I do think it's funny that Luann showed up in January
Yeah, in a tank top.
in her normal
Yeah.
outfit. We'll talk
Yeah.
about the outfits later on, but
In the outfit segment. Yeah.
I've got a segment for it. Yeah, everyone immediately starts to drive like shit. Hank and Peggy are embracing, and Peggy says, "Don't be a hero," and Hank says, "It's too late." Um,
Oh,
Bobby,
we also get, as they're driving away, a quick shot of them like driving and listening to the radio, and the radio broadcast says they're calling for an eighth of an inch
that's
and
hilarious.
to make sure to drink plenty of hot boiling water.
That's good. They should have kept that one in.
Yeah, that was like maybe one of my favorite jokes of the episode, and it wasn't even in the episode.
Nice. That was so good. Bobby wants to come along, and Hank says, "Sure, Bobby, if you can jump on a,
I love
you know,
that.
if you can catch a bobtail truck, you're welcome at Strickland Propane." And Hank has to tell Joe Jack to slow down and slow down more and just
Come to a
stop
complete stop.
so Bobby can get on. I think this is the first time we hear Joe Jack mentioned by
Yeah.
name.
I had a note about that as well. I think it's the first time he speaks too, right?
As far as I'm concerned, I think we've maybe seen him in the background, but this is, I think, the first Joe Jack mention.
We are the authorities on the topic, and we can safely say that it is definitely 100% the first Joe Jack. And if you have any corrections, you can email them to hillkingspod@gmail.com.
We're over in the alley. Bill is excited to sled on a trash can, and he slides about 4 feet. And Boomhauer roasts him and says, you're gonna need to go to Antarctica for that wide butt or that, big behind or whatever. Boomhauer mumbles an insult to Bill. We cut over to Strickland Propane, and Buck is now in his work shirt. He's got the blue Strickland work shirt on. Hank hangs up the phone and says that, we're going to we can get propane to the nursing home if we divert it from the Museum of Modern Art. And if anyone asks, it was a tough choice.
Yeah.
They're always,
but also, like, obviously, right? Like,
yeah,
divert it to the nursing home.
Yeah, you don't need the museum to be here right now.
No one's going to the museum anyway.
Yeah. They love dunking on the arts in Arlen. It's very funny. Yeah. Buck is like, "See, Bobby, that's why your dad's one of the best." He's like, pay attention, and you could be in his seat one day. And Bobby's like, "Well,
they
where
really
are you gonna
set
sit?"
it up. Oh yeah.
He's like, "Well, where's dad gonna sit?" And Buck's like, "He'll be in my chair." And Hank's like, "Oh no, I won't be in your chair. I'll just take my chair to your desk." But yeah, they
do a really good
try
job
to
in
set it
this
up.
scene of setting up like Hank being Strickland's favorite and like the obvious next in line.
Buck says that he's gonna quit for the day. He's just got one more thing to do. He goes over to the calendar to mark the day off as done. We do know this episode is occurring on January 9th, according to the calendar, a day before my birthday.
Oh,
yeah. But it's a sexy lady propane calendar.
Yeah, it is.
Bobby is like, "How come I never got a Strickland propane calendar?" And Hank's like, "It's for, you're not old enough." And Buck just starts flipping through it, and he's like, "Hello." He's like, "Hello, Miss November," and Hank sends Bobby outside to make a snow angel. But yeah, Buck is going to get really lusty about this calendar.
And Hank does mention that one of the women that he's lusting over is their cleaning lady, which was very funny.
He says, yeah, Buck says, "Look at the wings on this chicken." And he's like, "She's very attractive, but that's our cleaning lady." Buck says, "Be careful, that's flammable," which I thought was pretty funny. But Buck horns himself into a heart infarction.
A myocardial infarction.
He grabs his chest and starts clutching at it, and Hank's like, "Oh my God, Buck, we have so much more propane to sell." Hank goes to dial the phone and call 911. If you look at the buttons he presses, though, he does actually press 900.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But he does talk. He talks to the emergency department, and then we get a shot of Buck struggling out, falling into the snow next to Bobby, who's making a snow angel, and Buck's kind of just writhing on the ground and making half a snow angel, and Bobby's
Very
like,
obviously dying.
mhm. Bobby does not notice. He's like, Mr. Strickland, you're supposed to use both arms.
Yeah. That
Um,
was super good. Just Bobby being completely oblivious.
mhm. Um, Bobby is as Bobby does. But that's our first commercial break. So we come back after the break. Hank is trying to decide if he should wear a tie to the hospital or not.
Is it too ghoulish?
Is it too ghoulish? Peggy says, yeah, save the tie for the funeral. But
No, she kind of makes a like a save it for later. Like you're
mhm.
the big boss man. Like it seemed like it was like she's gonna wear the tie while they
Mhm.
get a little bit of going.
But yeah, Hank is kind of preparing to step into his role, or he assumes he's going to step into his role. We get the shot of the hospital, and the ambulance is being towed. Vehicles on tow truck is going to be a common theme for this
A
episode.
little
We
bit
see
of
it in the background.
foreshadowing right there. But
Mhm.
Deleted!
we also have a deleted scene of Hank in the emergency room with Buck. And them going to use a defibrillator on him, and him saying, "No, get them fancy electric appliances away from me. I'm a propane man."
Buck says that in
Buck
the.
says that with Hank in front of him.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
understand why they cut that out. It seems a
Yeah.
little on the nose, but
Yeah.
and also like they're writing in like Hank being there at the emergency room.
Mhm.
So that's like would necessitate an entire other scene, I think. But
Yeah. Yeah. I see why that got cut, but that's interesting.
yeah.
So yeah, we're in the emergency room. Mr. Strickland says, "We're a family and the daddy's sick. You kids gotta watch after my business."
I'm your daddy.
He says, "I'm your daddy," but he says, "We're a family." And then he looks at a guy and he goes, "Do you work for me?" The guy's like, "Yes, Mr. Strickland." He tells the two female assistant managers to leave because he's about to get a shot in the butt. He doesn't want some pretty ladies to see his backside, and everyone laughs. And then as soon as the ladies leave, he is misogynistic and says, "Now that the skirts are gone, we can talk about business."
Yeah.
Classic Buck, womanizer for sure.
The ladies can't lead.
Not at Strickland, according to Buck. Although I think there are some episodes in the future about a lady propane worker.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. He is going to ask Hank to feed his dogs.
Yeah, you got to feed my hounds.
Feed my hounds. Promise me you'll feed them, Hank. Promise me you will love them. And Hank agrees. And then after he asks Hank to watch after his dog, he's going to say, "Vickers, you're in charge. Let's see what that fancy business degree is worth."
Yep.
Which Hank loudly and in front of everyone is like, "What? I've been working for you for 15 years."
I think that's a warranted response from Hank. And also,
agree.
this episode was so real for that because that shit is so typical.
Yeah.
You know, of like a shitty boss just to like not recognize the good employee. And
yes,
they do a really good job writing Buck Strickland in this episode.
He's definitely a very good, kind of always villainish. Yeah, he's a great negative character for sure. But yeah, they put Vickers in charge to see what that fancy business degree can do. We cut into the alley. Dale is stockpiling food, which is also just a very funny thing that they're stockpiling all of this food. And
an eighth of an inch, didn't you hear?
In the deleted scenes, an eighth of an inch. But yeah, very funny that they're stockpiling some food. We see Peggy salting the ground with just like kitchen
Table
salt.
salt.
Yeah,
That's so funny. That might have been my favorite visual
Little-
gag of the entire
Mhm.
episode.
I really
Like he's
liked
just standing out there, just it was in the grass too. Like, what
it.
do you
Was in
do?
the grass.
It's not even like on the pavement.
She
She's
looked
just
so
pouring it onto the
satisfied.
grass. It's like, I did it.
Um, so yeah, Dale comes over and gives her some water chestnuts, and he says, I've only got a 3 week supply of propane. But you'll get Hank to hook me up because you owe me, because he gave her the water chestnuts.
Having a 3 week supply of propane is insane. Also,
I mean, there's much bigger tanks than that, but yeah, it is a little wild for a residential.
yeah.
Yeah. Peggy is like, no, he's not gonna, now that, once Hank's in charge, he's not gonna give you any special treatment. Peggy says that Hank's priorities are number 1, propane, number 2, family, number 3, friends, in that order.
So she recognizes that she
Uh-huh.
is second.
And she says it confidently and proudly, like it's no issue for her.
Yeah, that's what we
Um,
love about her. She's a supportive queen.
Yes. We cut to Hank driving home, and he's just spinning out in the street as
I
he's
loved
coming
it.
down. Yeah, I loved that too. And Peggy sees it from the window, and she runs out and gets in the truck, and starts to talk to Hank, and Hank eventually says that Buck put Vickers in charge, and Peggy is like, he's not fit to feed Strickland's dogs, and Hank's like, that's my department now.
Oh yeah. Kind of salt in the wound. Bring
Mhm.
back that table salt, Peg.
Salt in the wound, salt on the ground,
She's salting the grass. She's salting them wounds, huh?
salt of the earth. We cut over to the shop the next morning, and Vickers is leading a presentation, and he writes PDP on a big notepad.
Peak
He's like,
demand pricing, brother.
he says, does anyone know what this means? And one guy says, you're going to be doing drug testing. Vickers is like, you're thinking of PCP, and yes, we will be drug
we
testing.
will be doing drug testing.
Yes, which was very fun. But yeah, he says peak demand pricing. They're going to gouge people.
Capitalist swine.
Yeah, good thing that has never happened in Texas after a severe weather incident.
Yeah. Shout out Ted Cruz, y'all.
Oh,
We love him on this show, right?
mhm. Yes, big Ted Cruz fans we are.
If you're watching Ted,
Hey, he's Canadian.
no, he's not.
He's not from Texas. I'm pretty sure Ted Cruz is Canadian. Is he not?
There's no way he ran for president, dude.
Oh, okay. Well, he's definitely
Don't
not
put
Texan.
that on my people, you son of a bitch. His
Where
dad killed JFK.
Oh shit. Where's Ted Cruz?
Maybe
Huh.
his family is.
Let's see. Delaware.
Oh, yeah,
His
they're
mom's
from-
no, his mom's from Delaware.
But originally Calgary, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's fine. Calgary sucks.
Yeah. Wow.
I've never been there. Calgary doesn't suck. You're fine. Go Flames.
No. Yeah. Ted Cruz does suck though.
Yes.
Yeah. So Vickers says that he's going to gouge people, and Hank's like, "That's wrong. You would know that if you listened and worked for Buck for as long as I have." And Vickers kind of shuts him down, and he's like, Hank, I can give you some flex time.
Well, he
so that
says,
you can
can
go
we
feed the dogs."
dialogue?
Mhm.
Which triggered me in a way.
He's Vickers is going to use a lot of these terms from this whole TQM. He's gonna flash his business degree.
Corporate mumbo jumbo bullshit. And I have had
Yes.
jobs that speak in this way.
Mhm.
And it is really just a tool that they give management to very easily just like gaslight and manipulate people.
Yes.
So he's good at it.
Yeah. So Vickers tells him, to go feed the dogs, essentially, and Hank kind of storms out. We cut over to the alley, and I think now is time to talk about the outfits. And I'm sure we can put some visuals up here, but Dale is in a really fly outfit. Dale is in like an all white getup with
looking like he's about to go rob a bank.
He's got a shiesty on. He's got a balaclava. He's got his normal hat, and he's got a cigarette and his glasses.
Yeah, that would be a good Halloween costume, honestly.
I feel like I've seen Cigarette Dale in this way in memes before on the internet.
Yeah.
It's a very funny outfit that Dale's got on. Boomhauer is in like a one-piece blue and black ski suit with like ski goggles on. Um, Bill is in a huge parka with shorts on, which is funny because
Yeah,
Bill
shorts
is
guy.
Bill is normally seen wearing pants in the summer. So it gets
Yeah.
cold and he puts shorts on.
Well, that's a good point, actually.
Um,
I
it's
did
very
look
funny.
up Dale Gribble balaclava, and it looks like all of the images that are pulling up are actually from this episode. But I
Mhm.
think that there is a still from this episode that has been memed quite a bit.
Mhm. It's a funny outfit. Hank's got a very sensible navy like work jacket on, and Peggy is looking pretty fly. She's got a like a purple coat with some faux fur and a black turtleneck and like white gloves. Um,
They only get to break out these outfits once a year, man.
yeah, if
If
that.
that, if that, yeah. Maybe
Um,
once a decade.
Hank says that they're giving him flex time, which is what they give pregnant women and other disableds.
I love that.
So
That got a
rude.
wife chuckle
Yeah,
on my end.
nice. Um, yeah, other disableds when talking about pregnant women. So
Yeah.
rude. Um, Bill
And also true.
Bill tries to defend Vickers here, and he's like, "Well, maybe he's just trying to empower you." And Hank's like, "We'll see how empowered you feel when he raises propane prices 10 cents." And everyone's
And
like, "What?
they're
What?
outraged.
10
And
cents?"
then Dale offers to show Hank how to build a bomb.
Yes, with he's like, "If you want, I could show you how to make a bomb out of a roll of toilet paper and a stick of dynamite."
So
Uh, we get a Boomhauer is upset about his hot tub not being able to be hot.
yep. He's got ladies to swoon.
Yes, I feel like I've seen that line about the bomb with the toilet paper and dynamite stick as part of that meme before. I'll dig for it if
Yeah,
I can
send it
find
to
it.
me if you find it.
Go down
I'll
the
put it
meme
up
hole.
right here if Chris found it. If
But
not,
that
I'm gonna put up something that will embarrass you deeply.
oh no. So that's the fit check. That has been the fit check episode portion
Welcome
of the episode.
back to the episode. That was the fit check, and we are back.
Um, um, we cut back into the office. Bobby is photocopying the stapler, which is very fun. Did you ever go to your parents' office as a
did,
kid
yeah.
and photocopy stuff?
I remember going into my mom's office and photocopying an entire book that was just the Pokemon Pokédex.
Nice.
So like the information about every of the
Uh-huh. Dude, I
like
think I had that book as a
150.
kid.
Yeah, I had a friend who had it, and I really wanted to be able to have that knowledge, you know? I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be able to catch them all. So I
Mm-hmm.
photocopied every page without asking anybody.
Um,
Probably like a solid like 65 pages front and back.
nice. It's a lot of Xerox, man.
Yeah, brother.
Um, Hank is like, "Oh, Bobby, there's your ride." Bobby and Hank go outside to flag down Joe Jack, and he's like,
Well,
"Hey,
Hank
Joe Jack."
also does Bobby is asking essentially why Hank is such a failure here. And Hank gives him some sort of like mumbling speech about how sometimes curveballs, you know?
Yes, that's
But
right.
Deleted!
we
Ooh,
have an alternate scene for this line of dialogue here. When Bobby asks why Hank wasn't chosen, Hank says, when it's near the end of the season, sometimes you got to give the bench warmers a chance.
oh, that's
And
funny.
Bobby says something about how he really likes being a bench warmer.
Oh,
Yeah.
hmm. Uh,
Kind of a
I feel like
throwaway.
they should have kept that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hank asks Joe Jack to take Bobby home, and Joe Jack's like, "No can do." Vickers put tattlers in the truck, and Bobby's like, "What's a tattler?" And Hank tells him essentially it's a run meter that lets the boss know if they make unscheduled stops for lunch and everything that the drivers union fought so hard for.
Love to hear
Um,
that Hank is a union guy.
he's a union guy in this episode, but
Yeah.
in the company man, he gets on to the guys who are taking the union break at the construction site and tells them to get back to work.
I think that is actually kind of like that is a testament to how well written of a character Hank is, because I think that
Mhm.
is kind of common for conservatives. They're union guys when it benefits them,
Mhm.
but when
Yeah.
it benefits other people, then it's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yes. So yeah, he's like, everything the union fought so hard for. Um, we then cut over to Strickland's house, and this is where the
Yes.
main rub is going to happen. This is one of
Deleted.
my already.
We have a deleted scene of them walking into Strickland's house.
Oh,
Hank and
interesting.
Peggy, before they go out to feed the hounds. And it's a schematic, but it's just kind of showcasing how nice of a fucking house is. Like big ceilings,
Hmm.
or like nice furniture everywhere. And we get a cool and nice comment from Peggy, basically just saying like, "Oh, I thought he didn't have the money to give you a raise all this time, but damn."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So
Well,
realizing that Strickland is actually a greedy pig.
mhm. Well, we'll figure that out here in just a second.
Yeah.
Buck'll tell us himself.
Yeah.
But
He'll let us know.
in the scene that aired, we get Peggy pretending to be a cat in front of the sliding glass doors to 5 or
Distracting all
6
the
barking
hounds.
dogs, which was very funny of Peggy kind of hopping around like meow, look at me, I'm a kitty, meow meow.
Well, Hank is like sneaking back there with a bag of kibble.
Yeah,
So
I thought that
funny.
was very fun, and Peggy's got some strong glutes to be doing that. Um,
Oh, she's got that thing.
yes, I did take a note here that the brand of dog food is Dr. Dog.
Ah, shout out to one of my
Mhm.
favorite Philly-based bands, Dr.
I
Dog.
I looked into it. I was like, is this a Dr. Dog reference?
No,
At the
they weren't
time,
around at this time.
yeah, at the time
Yeah.
of this episode, they were not around.
Yeah.
I just thought that was going to be super cool, but
They
it's
were
not.
like a 2010s band.
Yeah.
Shout out to their lead singer Scott, who let me into the
Listens. Oh,
show for free in Oklahoma
whoa,
City once,
cool.
because this is actually one of my favorite stories. Little side story for you
Side
here,
story.
nephews. I am a big Dr. Dog fan and have been since I think their second album. I was going to see them in Oklahoma City, which is where I used to live. Yes, I am still talking, Chris. And I drove all the way up there from Norman, Oklahoma, which is where I went to school, and realized that I printed out the ticket confirmation and not the ticket.
Oh,
And I was going by myself,
oh,
because I couldn't find anyone who wanted to go with me.
mm,
Uh, and I was like first in line because I got there early, as I am wont
nice.
to do.
Where
And
was it at?
it was at that place in Bricktown, the
Coca-Cola Event Center, I'm guessing.
no,
Promo
not
at the
not
time.
the
No.
event center, but the small one, the like little studio one.
Oh, interesting. That's super cool.
It was
Bricktown
like
Live,
the
maybe.
yeah, like
Cool.
it was a small little venue. And I gave the guy my ticket that was not a ticket, and he was like, "I'm sorry." This was before
Oof.
you could have your ticket on your phone.
Yeah,
I don't think I even had a smartphone at this time. This was probably like 2010.
yeah.
Um, and I was like, shit, I'm out of luck. I parked my car over in like some neighborhoods, walking distance. And as I'm walking back, Dr. Dog is coming out of like the place that they're renting and walking down
Interesting.
this alley towards me. And I was like, oh shit, what's up, guys? And I talked to them for a couple minutes, and they were like, "You're coming to the show, right?" Like I was telling them how big of fans that I was. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, and then I explained the situation to them, like, "Oh, sorry. No,
I
I'm
fucked
not.
up.
I forgot my ticket." They were like, "Just come with us." And then I got to walk
That's so
past the
cool.
line that was coming in as me and the lead singer walked in through the front, and he was like, "Hey, this guy's with us." And he just like let me in.
Dope. Dang,
And then
that's
I
so
got to see
cool.
the show. Yeah.
Wow.
So shout out to them. Shout out
Shout
to this
out.
brand of dog food.
This has been the fond memories of Dr. Dog segment.
Yep.
In the kitchen, Hank is frustrated because he is having to scrub off doggy slobber, and that is when Peggy sees it. She's, oh my lord! And Hank's like, "What?" And she's like, "The stove. It's electric."
Womp
And
womp womp.
Hank is like, "Well, it better be self cleaning because I think I'm about to vomit."
That was a really good line.
Um, we then cut into the hospital. Hank has got his head in his hands, and he asks, Strickland, like, how could you have an electric stove, like I thought, you love propane. You said it's God's gas. This is a higher calling. And Strickland's like, it came. I have plenty of electric appliances. They came with the house. He says it's just a business. It's all about making as much money as you can while you can.
And then Hank realizes that this motherfucker is full of shit.
Hank brings up the tattlers and Buck's like, I knew he put the tattlers in, and that, strikes him even worse. And Strickland says how they used to do it back in the old days before tattlers. They used to use midgets. They put him behind. They put him behind the driver's seat on a bucket of ice to keep him cool until OSHA came in and put those little people on the street.
And this does come back up later. I don't know if you got.
I don't think I did. So you'll have to bring it up.
Holy shit, that was my favorite part of the whole episode. So remember this line.
Yeah, Hank.
Maybe it's a deleted scene.
Strickland blames OSHA for putting the little people out of work. He goes, that's what they like to be called, Hank, little people. Hank is gonna say, how could you? I've been working for you, the last 15 years of my life have been a lie. And he's like,
the best 15 years of his life, he said.
The best 15 years of his life, not even his marriage to Peggy.
Yeah. Well, propane
or
is
his
first,
son.
Yeah,
of course. Hank says he's not coming into work tomorrow, and Hank's almost crying. You hear his voice crack at one point in time.
He cracks up. I mean, his whole world is destroyed right now.
Says he's not coming into work, and Buck is like, do you mean you're taking the day off or you're quitting? And Hank's like, you heard me.
He storms out.
Yeah, and that's our second commercial break.
Shee!
That second act was a lot longer in this episode than it normally is. I feel like normally the second act is the short one.
There was some meat in this one.
Very meaty second act, but we open the third act up. They're packing the car and headed to the lake. We see Luann in, just her green tank top and her red shorts. But she does turn to reveal that she has a hand warmer on, which I thought was very funny.
I feel like that had to have also been like, do we animate a new outfit for Luann, or do we just keep her like this? It would be funny if she was just still dressed like a little revealing,
Yeah, but she's got a hand warmer.
Yeah.
Bobby is like, hey Dad, I've got the stove. Where's the little propane thing that goes with it? And Hank's like, there's no room for propane on this trip.
That's how you know it's real.
Yeah, Hank says to Luann, what happened was like seeing a woman without her makeup. So rude. Luann tells a funny story about how a girl came to beauty school without makeup on and no one told her. And then she laughs and she goes, that was kind of mean.
No one told her.
We cut to the office. The drivers have come in with their tattlers, and Vicker is like, okay, guys, I feel like we're just 2 steps away from win-win, which feels like, more of his business lingo, business school lingo. He says, step 1, you put the tattlers back in the truck. Step 2, you keep your jobs. And
that is it's a win-win technically.
Yeah, the drivers all quit. And Vickers is like, good riddance. Vickers says he's got a whole alumni newsletter full of people that will do it just for the life experience.
Little does he know, you got to be hazmat certified to drive a propane truck. Is that true? Did you look into that?
Probably
I would assume.
Is true.
Yeah, it is a hazardous material. It is highly flammable and explosive.
Makes sense. We get a quick scene of Luann at home, like reading, and she's listening to phone messages. Strickland is leaving a message on the phone and says that he messed up worse than Jack Kennedy at Piggy Bay. Did you catch what that's a reference to?
The Bay of Pigs.
The Bay of Pigs, yes. Which of course was a failed U.S.-backed coup attempt against Fidel Castro.
Yep. The U.S. loves to do those.
We do love to
They're
do
usually
coups.
successful with the coup
They are
attempts.
usually.
But
the Bay
Luann
of
writes
Pigs.
Jack Kennedy calls, which was one of the best jokes of the episode.
I did love that. Yeah. So Strickland calls and leaves a voicemail for Hank. Luann takes it down wrong. But we stop at Ma and Pa's general store.
Yeah, Hank tries to
And
buy some fucking charcoal, dude.
he doesn't try. He succeeds. He's
He
like,
does it, yeah.
Peggy is like, put that down. Someone will see you. And Hank's like, come on, let's give it a try. Haven't you been curious? And he like shakes the
Let's live
bag
a
at
little,
her.
baby.
And she's like, okay, let's do it. He's at the register
He's
and
like, come on. Come on, live a little, Peggy.
come on. Is that from the Keeping Up with Our Joneses episode?
Yep.
Where he's going out to smoke? That's hilarious. Hank's at the register and he's a buck and some change short. And he's like, let me just run out to the car. And Pa is like, oh, we don't care about a buck here or there.
Dollar
And
here, dollar there.
dollar doesn't matter. Pa says, people before pennies. And Hank is like, I like that. You're good people. And they leave. And then Ma comes out from the back and she's like,
His nagging wife.
his nagging wife. She's like, now I know why they always call you Pa, because you're pathetic. And she goes, and now I know why they call you Ma, because you always riding my ass.
I thought that this was the most poignant joke of the episode because Hank is so disillusioned to realize that his entire working life is a sham because the person that he works for only cares for his own personal gain and is a capitalist. And then he goes to this general store. He's so
enamored with the charm.
and like charmed by this man saying a dollar here, a dollar there doesn't matter. And then it turns out that the other person who's running it only cares about the money and making more of it.
I just liked pathetic and right in my ass.
Yeah, that was really
good. So we get to the lake and we have very sad Hank sitting on the end of the dock and he's skipping charcoal.
He's just throwing charcoal he's not even cooking with it.
Yeah.
He's throwing it in the lake. He just bought it to be rebellious.
He's having a deep reflective moment at the lake and Bobby comes up and does the fake pushed you in, saved your life, saved your life at the edge of the pool.
Hank does not get it.
Hank does not get it. Peggy comes up and she's like, I said, do not disturb him. And Bobby's like, oh.
And Peggy also pulls him away and startles him in a very similar way that he startles Hank, but also
Deleted!
We have a little scene that was deleted of Bobby sitting on the dock with Hank, suggesting that since he's looking to start a new career, that they should start a comedy act together. And Bobby says, you could be the straight man and I can poke you with a stick.
Nice.
And Hank is just kind of like,
doesn't get it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I liked the I saved your life better than this, though.
Hank is going to come back into the cabin and tell everyone to pack up. He knows what he's going to do. They're going to open a general store. Peggy says, escúchame?
Escúchame?
Which I don't know if you caught this is not the right word in Spanish for excuse me.
I think she does that a lot. I think she says escúchame a lot.
Yeah, escucha is listen. So escúchame, she says, listen to me? Listen to me?
That'd be a good soundbite. I should get that.
Escúchame. He's they're driving back and Peggy's on the fence about the whole idea and Hank's like, general stores are Ma and Pa. If Ma's not there,
he needs
he needs a Ma. They're gonna wonder, did Pa kill Ma? Is Ma back in the freezer hanging from a meat hook?
It doesn't take a lot for him to convince her to be Ma. Also.
No, it does not. They pull back into Arlen and we do get a Arlen population update here on the sign into Arlen.
Ooh.
The town of Arlen's population is 1,454.
Small town.
Which makes it a very, very small town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peggy, they're walking back into the house and Peggy is like, we could have, like a children's book section, and we wouldn't have to talk to them as long as they brought the books back. And Hank is like, yeah, Peggy, kids are people. You just
Yeah.
invented a whole new customer base. Kids are people. They both
Poignant.
say she's like, okay, I'll do it. I'm gonna go write my resignation letter. And Hank's like, I'll write mine too. But as Hank is starting to write his letter of resignation, he goes about checking the voicemails. And it actually turns out the people of Arlen do need him.
And they have his direct contact info.
Well, he's their propane
He's a
salesman.
man of the goddamn people, dude.
He is. People
And
over
he's in
pennies.
this shit for the right reasons.
Yes. We get a voicemail from Thelma Throckmorton, who is voiced by Cheryl Holiday. So this is
Shout
who
out
Cheryl
to our
voices.
gal.
There's an
Come
old
on the
lady.
show, Cher.
Man, I would love that.
I'll reach out. I'll
She
find a way.
seems so fun. Yeah.
I'll find a way to reach out.
Yeah, Velma Throckmorton calls because her hands froze to her walker and she had to thaw them in the microwave. How did she get her hands into the microwave with a walker
She is on
frozen to them?
Instagram.
Is she?
Sorry, I just looked up Cheryl Holiday.
All right,
She
you got to
has
follow her.
431 followers.
Okay,
Her caption does say self-proclaimed genius.
nice. Love
And
that.
I'm fairly certain this is actually her.
Okay, hell yeah.
And
We're working on it, nephews. We're working on
She is
it.
still kicking. I will reach out.
We're starting. Would love to talk to her. She probably has so many crazy stories about all her other projects. But
Oh,
yeah,
hell yeah.
Velma Throckmorton had to thaw her hands in the microwave.
Is that even possible?
No, how would you
gotta
shut
have
the door?
Close the door.
How would you start the microwave?
That's really funny.
So yeah, Hank is trying to write his letter of resignation as he's listening to these voicemails, and he's like, "It is with a heavy heart. It is with a very heavy heart. It is with an extremely heavy heart."
Crossing it out, crossing it out, crossing it out.
He goes back into work. Buck is essentially, mumbling to himself at the desk, doesn't know what he's going to do. And he's like, Hank, did you come back to dance on my grave? And he's like, I don't feel like dancing. There's a city out there that needs us. And Buck is like, well, we can't do anything because you and I don't have hazmat licenses. But the tow trucks come in to save the day. We see Bill, Dale,
All the
Boomhauer,
boys.
and Peggy.
And
pull up.
also Peggy. I also did love that before he left, instead of writing his resignation letter, he wrote a letter to Peggy saying that he was going back to work, and Peggy comes and find it, and he did sign it, Love Hank Hill.
Yes, I love
to
that he
his own
used his
wife.
full name. I love that he says he's going back to work, and then he goes to work, and she's a part of the plan to save the day.
That didn't really make a lot of sense, but I guess maybe he called her.
So yeah, they've got the propane trucks on tow trucks, and you don't need a hazmat license to drive a tow truck. So the tow trucks have come back in. The snow is already melting here as the tow trucks are coming through town.
The storm is over.
The storm is over. It was over like the previous day, and it was not a lot of snow.
Definitely no freezing. There's like probably an eighth of an inch of snow. They should have left that.
They should have left that in. That would have been very good.
Little note here.
Deleted.
From the tow trucks. Right after we see the shot of all of the alley guys and Peggy in the tow trucks, there is a deleted scene schematic of Boomhauer driving one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So these are tow trucks, different union, I'm assuming. Maybe not unionized.
Probably not.
So Boomhauer is driving one of these, and a little person does pop up behind him in the seat and scare the shit out of him.
Okay.
Which
was
I
just
thought
in
it
the
was
tow
in
truck?
the episode because I watched the deleted scenes and this like concurrently. But yeah,
no.
like Boomhauer's driving and a little person like pops up behind him and scares the shit out of him in the tow truck.
No, that's pretty funny though. That's good. We do get a shot of Velma Throckmorton with her frozen hands. But that's the end of our episode. The tow trucks hauling the propane trucks coming in to save the day is the end of our episode.
Yep, we also get a cute little scene of Bobby in the passenger seat with Hank turning the wheel a
Oh yeah,
little bit
yanks the
and
wheel, and he
saving
says,
his life. Yeah,
and
saved
Hank's
your
like, "Oh,
life.
now I get it."
He gets it this time. But also, I feel like the I saved your life thing was a late addition because we have a separate outro. And
Ooh,
this was fully animated, I believe.
okay.
Hank lets Bobby drive the tow truck that's filled with like fucking flammable gas. Like it's still you're driving a propane truck. Like it's still super
Yeah,
dangerous. But he just fully lets Bobby drive and Bobby takes like the widest turn and like spins out and Hank is like, "Yeah, it's fine."
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice little deleted scene to end her off there. But that's the end of the episode. We had an outro, but it was delorted, brother.
Deleted.
How do you feel about the new deleted scene situation?
I like it a lot. It's adding some fun context for me.
I'll continue with it. I will buy the season 3 DVD. I have actually really enjoyed watching episodes on DVD because it's not the like remastered and it's still in the original aspect ratio.
Yeah, and you don't actually have to watch commercials like I do.
And I don't have to watch commercials, which is great. It looks nicer on DVD
Nice.
than
I
it
bet.
does on Hulu. So yeah, that'll do it for the episode. Should we just step right out into the alley, brother?
Yeah, dude, let's get it.
I'm gonna buy you a drink.
So, this is a segment of the show where we give this episode a grade out of a 6-pack of Alamo Brewski Dooskies. What are you thinking, brother?
I think for me, this is a really solid 5-er. It's
I think I agree. I think
it's
I'm
got
with you.
a lot of good drama. It's it feels the stakes feel nice and high.
Yes.
There's the drama of the weather, there's Hank's life falling apart.
Yep.
There's a lot of fun visuals in this. We get a lot of alternate costumes for people, and there's a lot of things happening in the background, like the tow trucks coming throughout is a nice like foreshadowing. There's Peggy salting the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was great. There's a lot of good visual gags. There's a lot of good throwaway gags, but ultimately, I think you hit the nail on the head. The stakes in this episode were so high. Like Hank is giving up his life's work, basically, and then realizing that he is not doing it for Strickland. He's doing it for the people. And I think for that reason, I think I'm going to bump up to 6.
Oh, you're going to 6? Nice.
I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I liked this episode a lot. It was very well written.
Vickers is a really
was a good
nice
character. I wish we had more Vickers.
He's very hateable with his
Does he
lingo
come
and everything.
back? Does he return?
I don't know if he does or not. I also had a personal wonder about Vickers because we know Paul Lieberstein of The Office fame worked on a bunch on King of the Hill, and in late seasons of The Office, the season that has Will Ferrell's character's last name is Vickers. He's D'Angelo Vickers. So I heard Vickers and I was like, was that like a little subtle?
Good pull. Kind of like how
nod?
one of the writers was named Dotrieve, and they gave that last name
Yeah, I was
to a
like,
character in the show.
is that a pull? It might not be, but
I would not be surprised if
You
that
know.
was intentional. That's
you heard it here first.
Maybe,
folks.
maybe.
Who knows? But yeah, a lot of really good stuff. Could have used a little more Luann, which is why I think I'm still at 5.
Yeah. We did get some good little snippets from her, and also a peak deleted scene of her doing a sack race. That would have been cool. I think there were a couple deleted scenes that would have contributed to the episode very well, particularly the one with the radio broadcast saying that it was only 1/8 of an inch of snow. Because without that information, you're like, well, this might actually be a bad snowstorm. If you don't know Texas, for me growing up, I probably didn't catch, because I was living in Canada, I probably didn't catch the fact that they were all freaking out about a little bit of snow. Like
Yeah.
maybe in my mind, I was like, oh, there's like a storm coming in. But with
Yeah.
that, like the forecast only being 1/8 of an inch, and also him saying to drink as much boiling water as you can.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I thought that was very funny. The whole Texans not being prepared for weather.
It rings true for sure.
The whole price gouging thing
Yep.
post storm is very has some very real world connection here
Yeah.
in the age that we live in. Texas recently had some very serious storms, and
Yeah.
unfortunately some people lost their lives in Texas because of lack of power, which lack of power is one of the big, linchpins of this episode.
And the power grid in Texas is flimsy, as
Mhm.
we know.
And not connected to any others.
Yep.
Yeah. Good app.
Hell yeah.
Fun app.
Well, that'll do it for that section of the alley. Should we crown our Hill Kings for the episode now,
Let's do it.
brother?
Let's do it.
So this is the segment of the show where we crown the MVP of the episode. We decide in the moment who we are going to crown. I don't know. I feel like the obvious answer is Hank here, yeah?
I think
know.
Hank would be a pretty obvious choice. He did end up being the hero of this episode. I am
Yeah.
going to take the tow trucks.
Okay. The tow trucks themselves.
They really came through. Yes, the tow trucks. There wouldn't have been a resolution without the tow trucks. I liked that they were
It is true.
foreshadowed in the episodes. I think we see the tow trucks maybe 3 times before the end of the episode, which I thought was very nice and subtle.
Yeah.
You see him in the background. Cars are getting towed all the time. The ambulance got towed. Yeah, I really liked. I liked.
And we do know that they all have a little person in the back behind the seat from the deleted scene. All right,
That's
so
so
tow
wild.
trucks, an inanimate Hill King yet again. We're back. We're back. I think, dude, I have gone with Hank so many times this season.
I know.
I've gone with young Hank alone twice, but I think I need to give it to our boy here.
Yeah, I think that's justice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll allow you to go with the funny one and go with the tow trucks.
Yeah,
but I'm sticking with my man. This was a really good character arc story for Hank.
I potentially took Vickers just to take another
antagonist,
to take another villain, and just particularly because I did get a business degree, and just some of the words he was using and the way he was saying it, just like he got under my skin in such like a satisfying way for a villain. So he was my alternate pick, but
yeah, Strickland was on the table as well. Peggy was on the table for the salt on the snow gag. That was very funny. I loved that. But I think ultimately this episode was all about Hank, and Hank shone and shined in this one. So I'm going to stick with my boy.
Nice.
Good app. Good app. And that'll do it. I like this one. This was good. What do we got next? What's next week?
Yeah, next week is episode 14. I remember Mono, and I believe we will have a guest.
Oh, we will.
And they are a doctor.
Aha, fitting.
Ooh,
so is this episode about Mono?
It is.
I don't remember this one at all.
This one is a flashbacky one.
Ooh, okay.
This one is kind of a Peggy jealousy type of thing.
Oh, excited for that.
Yes,
and a guest, nephews.
And a guest.
Are you excited?
It's gonna be fun.
Do you think they're all excited? Do you think they're just like fucking
they're like
jonesing for it?
Just put the shit out, guys.
Release it now. Release it today.
Release it now.
Yes, I have come.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. And we will check that out next week. We will have a guest for y'all's ears and eyes. Speaking of ears and eyes,
a particular nephew will know this guest personally. Yeah.
You'll know it when you hear it. Speaking of ears and eyes, though, you can check us out on YouTube, Hill Kings Podcast on YouTube. You can see our faces. You can see This Week in Arlen.
You can
If
see
you
the
would
outfit
rather,
check.
you can see the outfit check. There's tons of screen grabs. We're here. There's other stuff. You know? It's good. We like it over here on YouTube. But if you're listening in the car, if you like to listen on a run, if you like to listen on a bike, if your name is Mike, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, you can listen on Spotify, you can listen basically wherever you get an audio podcast, and you can see This Week in Arlen still on our Instagram. I post it every week on the Instagram at Hill Kings Pod. You can check it out there. You can also send us memes.
Send us memes. If
We
you
love
find
to see them.
If you find the Dale's ski mask meme, if I haven't found it and it has not made it into this episode, if you have the Dale ski mask meme, send it
Chris
in.
will give you $500 to your Venmo.
I will give you a heart-like reaction in the DMs.
And $500 to your Venmo. Just DM him your Venmo username. And that is a guarantee. And we will see you next week. Sorry, did you have anything else?
No, I got nothing.
See ya.
Bye.
Hill Kings Podcast.
Whoop.